can call me or even WhatsApp me on 07748855055. Well, what's happening today? Another packed day, guys. You come in the morning, you're rushing up the stairs, the adrenaline is just buzzing. And then, of course, you are out of breath when you reach the studio. You walk in here, and today you got 3 different guests to coordinate. We have guests today. Who are they? Who were yesterday? Do you even remember who the guest was yesterday with Let's Talk with Zed? We had Sir Peter Soulsby. He graced us with his presence and said some Ramadan greetings to all of us in the city and beyond. So today we're going to talk to, well, of course, yesterday I'm disappointed that none of you, well, only a few messages came in to ask questions. It's your city. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to get involved, be part of the system. Don't sit outside the fence. Get on the table. Otherwise, you will become part of the menu. That is what they say here. If you're not on the table, you'll become part of the menu. So get involved into the system here. So we had a good iftar afterwards, exchange ideas, explain the merits of iftar. One of the gentlemen who came, that was his first ever iftar. So we had to explain to him the merits of iftar, Maghrib Salah, and explain everything. So this is very important. When we join with other faiths in the community, what are we doing? We're integrating. Otherwise, if you don't integrate, you will do the opposite to integration, which is segregation. So brothers and sisters, much too early in the morning, we got to keep it lively, keep it buzzing, and keep it positive. Do you agree? If you agree, then call me right now on 0116-482-2086. And today, I'm going to tell you now who the guests are going to be. We have Suzanne Overton. She was a principal at the Gateway School College. Put your right hand up if you went to that college. Don't do that if you are driving, but just nod. Just give me a nod, right? Then I know that you are agreeing or disagreeing. And of course, this is another surprise I'm going to share with you. There was a school once upon a time, 50 years ago, called Linwood Boys School. That was like the rival school to Lancaster Boys School. A lot of you, I know, went to Lancaster Boys School. There's about 50 people nodding right now to say, yes, that was me. And the rival school was Linwood Boys School. And guess who was the teacher there? Come on, let me know. Put your right hand up so I can select you to answer that question. Who was the teacher there? His name was, come on, it's on your lips. Sir Peter Soulsby. He was a teacher at Linwood Boys School. And that's what he did there. He was teaching, guess what? He was teaching what there? He was special needs teacher there, right? Of course. Now, that is very dear to me, all that information, because can you believe that I went to that school around that period and I don't know that he was there. I don't remember that he was there. Of course, special needs back in the day was totally different to how it is now. There used to be 2 porter cabins in the yard, and special needs, they were studying in those 2 porter cabins. So, of course, back in the day, if your child was not so good with his education, he was playing truant, he was not attending, due to various factors at home, they would just put him in that class. And the rest of the kids, then, you would have us and them kind of situation. So that was not very good, and inclusive did not exist back in the 70s. So what we've been talking about all last week, EDI, and of course DEI is what they say in the USA, and that's been our theme. So this week our theme is partnerships, building community partnerships. Let's all become stakeholders in the city, and we have almost 400,000 people in the city. If you go a little bit outside the city, you're going to hit 556,000 people here in our city. Not a big number really when you compare with one little place in another country where you have millions and millions of people. Just the state of Gujarat in Ahmedabad, just Ahmedabad, Gujarat, Ahmedabad is in the state of Gujarat in India, got 86 million people living there. That is 66 million is the population of England. So compare, see the dynamics. Here we have small cities we are only 66 million people, so we spread that across the country. England, you will see that it's a different dynamic altogether. Not really a good comparison, but just give you an idea. Now, of course, a lot of people, when you ask that question, they go straight on the Google and they check and they get a figure of about 500 plus, which is including a little bit outside of the city. Get to know your city, get to know the people who live in your city, how many people we have, what are their different diversities. So yesterday I thought I'd try it on. I'll catch Sir Peter Soulsby out, but he was on ball, he was on cue. He just hit it straight away. When I said A, he said 3 countries. He didn't even wait for me to go to B. He went straight to Z, and he said Zambia, Zaire, which is the old Congo, and Zimbabwe. So he was on cue. It's almost like he was waiting, ready for me to hit him with those questions. I'm even wondering if somebody tipped him off, and he came completely ready with his hat on, and he was able to answer these questions. I thought, let's test him out. He is the CEO, he's the boss, he's the mayor. If we can catch him out, then we will see if he knows. Well, if he knows, if he doesn't know, then we got a problem, haven't we? But he was on cue. He knew the answers. Of course, all of us have got to be aware of these basic facts in our city. You cannot be living here and you don't know what's around you. If you don't know the diversities that we have in the city, how will you even start the process of integration? If you go to a job, anywhere you're working, what do? You sit in the HR office, and the HR goes through the protocols, basically going through a process and explaining to you the system. And that's what you have to go by. That is no different in the community. When we're in the community, from our school days, we used to call it Citizens Academy. If the name has changed, then somebody better ring me right now and tell me. Well, back in the day, there wasn't much to talk about in the terms of diversity, because there was only like black people, brown people, right? Those dynamics have changed every decade. The rules are changing. Why? Because so many new diversities are appearing in the city. Now, if I came here in the 70s, my parents were completely stressed out because they just did not know how to cope with the drastic change, being that you were a house owner, shop owner, car owner, and you had money, not loads of money, but enough. And you had to suddenly be catapulted to a place called Leicester, and you had zero, and you came here. So for my age group, it was an adventure. Never been on a plane before, never ever even knew where England was. So you had to come here, and you're thrown in the deep end. So for us, it was adventure, excitement, holiday. For our parents, it was the big SAD, stress, anxiety, depression. That's what happened here back in the day, right? So if you imagine you are in the same situation and you picked up and you're thrown away somewhere, let's pick on a country called Rwanda, which is currently in the news. You picked up here from the city of Leicester and you're sent out there, and then you see what happens to you. You'll go through that SAD period. In fact, wouldn't it be an idea if we sent anybody really, to go on a trip there and go and live in those conditions that are being proposed to the inhabitants, right? So we have our first guest has arrived. She's joined us, and she looks remarkably familiar. I think we went to school together. Take a seat there, right? Take a seat there, right? So you come right here to the front, and we can start our introductions. And you see, our guests, when they come here, I tell them, get your pen out, get your paper out. You're going to be working. We are not just doing radio. We will be doing a live interview. It's a working day, right? The working day has started. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Zed. How are you?
Well, you can see I'm buzzing.
Good.
Loud and clear. Now, what I'd like you to do is come closer and start building that relationship with your mic so all our listeners can hear you very, very clearly.
And good morning, listeners. I hope that you're all well.
Of course, I'm already buzzing.
Good.
Feeding off your positive energy. Now, that's what I want my listeners to be, full of positive energy.
Fantastic.
And when you are around negative energy, you will not be able to be full of confidence with positive energy, because negative energy is going to attract you and make you negative as well. So that's why listen in, and we're going to talk to our esteemed guest called Suzanne Overton. Now put your right hand up if you know this name, if you met her before.
May I just add another name? Excuse me. My name is Suzanne Overton-Edwards.
Suzanne Overton-Edwards. Of course, when she says the name Edwards, it reminds me of my English teacher, because we have been talking a lot about schools. And then, Suzanne, you were principal at the Gateway College.
That's right.
Which previously had a different name, didn't it? Or has it always been called Gateway College?
It's always been Gateway College.
So as long as I remember. So we're now we're going back to 50 years ago. Then we transferred to the next decade and the next decade, and where we are today. So remarkable changes we have seen, haven't we?
Yes.
And what year was it when you started your journey in teaching?
Oh, goodness. My first... Well, I actually started teaching as a student. I was helping some friends who had a supplementary school. And so I would be at university during the day, and then for a couple of evenings a week I'd go and teach in the supplementary school, and also on Saturday mornings.
That was in what period of time?
That would have been in the 80s.
That was in the 80s. So from there now, a young person who wants to start their career in the teaching profession today, what do they have to do? They go to university, yes?
Yes, that's certainly the usual way in which it's done. So my advice to anybody who's interested in teaching would be to do a degree that they are interested in. So choose a subject that you feel passionate about, and you'll study that. Because of your interest in it, it won't really feel like work. And I think that's very important. That will certainly help to sustain you throughout your university experience. And whilst there, make the most of it by being involved in different societies that grab your interest as well, because that will help you to develop a wide range of skills. It will also give you access to a broad network of people, and it's important to maintain those contacts, not just throughout your stay at university, but also when you leave. And within those networks, I'm including staff, because they're very important. They are your guides. They will support you. They will give you advice, not only whilst you're at university, but afterwards, if you maintain contact with them.
So that is a brief journey for anyone who wants to enter that profession, because we need a constant stream of young people to come through, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So all of you youngsters out there, you are the lifeblood of our system of education, right? And this is how we have to continue to encourage each other. Now, is there a possibility that if somebody did not go to university, that they can still enter the teaching profession?
Well, in addition to university, you would have to do a post-graduation qualification, and that can be done in a variety of ways. There's a postgraduate certificate of education that takes a year to complete. You can also join a scheme, and they have different names. In Leicester, there's one called a SCIT. It's to do with initial teacher training. So the way in which that would work is that a school would employ you and you would be trained on the job. And that's obviously a very good way of learning, because it means that, in effect, what you're learning in the lecture theatre, you're putting into practice in the classroom, and you're developing your skills as you go with very good quality guidance.
So just run us through your journey from yesterday,
Okay. Yesterday.
today, and then we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Interestingly, I can remember always saying I would never be a teacher. And I suppose to some extent that was based on my experience of education, which was good, but I'd probably had enough of it by then. As I said, I was asked if I would help some friends with a supplementary school, and that made me see that things could be done differently. It also made me appreciate from a very different perspective the power of education, because at the time we were getting a lot of black parents coming to us saying, my child's having serious problems at school and I don't know what to do, they're falling behind academically, and this isn't just relevant to the black community, I think it's relevant to lots of communities. And so that's why the supplementary school was set up. The way in which it worked was that every teacher would have about half a dozen children across the age ranges. So it wasn't uncommon for me to be teaching a very young child of 5 going up to about 16, 17, 18. And the way in which I would work it in my group is that the older ones would help the younger ones, but obviously I'd be giving the older ones work of an appropriate standard so that they were learning as well. But I thought it was important to give them that sense of community, that we help each other, we look out for each other, and also recognise that you learn a lot from other people. And so through the older ones helping the younger ones, they were actually reinforcing their own learning. Because when you're in that situation, it really focuses your attention and makes you understand what you really know, and it highlights any gaps in your understanding. And then it gives you an opportunity to go away and fill those gaps. So that worked very well. What we found was that parents were coming back in a relatively short period of time saying, I'm not getting any complaints now from school, and the teachers are asking what's happened because the child's behaviour has changed. They're more engaged in their learning. And quite often it was just that we had time to spend with those children as individuals, sit with them, show them different ways of doing maths problems, for example, and just ensuring that they really understood why they were doing things. Because if you have the basic principles of anything, then you can tackle any problem. Okay, moving on from there. I then decided, based on that experience, that I did want to teach. So when I graduated, I did a PGCE, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, at the Institute of Education in London. And the way in which that worked is that you're in university for X number of weeks, and then you're in a school for X number of weeks, as I've said, putting what you're learning into practice and your observed teaching and the various other tasks and assignments that you have to do. And then after that, I worked in a secondary school and was teaching biology and chemistry up to A level. I also was very aware of the importance of the pastoral side of education, which is where you're looking after the child and you're listening to whatever concerns they might have, you're pushing them academically, and also ensuring that they're making the most of all of the opportunities that a particular school has to offer. So it might be getting involved with games or debates or organising things for younger children in the school. I was very fortunate because I had a sixth form tutor group, and it's through that group that I really developed my love of teenagers. I think teenagers are fantastic. They are so energetic.
Challenging.
They are challenging, but that's good. That's what they need to be doing, because they're exploring the world and they're pushing at boundaries and they're finding out who they are and they're finding out what the world is about.
So it is a huge responsibility. Being a teacher, all of the teachers, big thumbs up to all of them, because they are expected to take a child who has come from home and give him a different dynamic. And today, all this week is about community partnerships. So all of you parents listening in right now, you must understand the value of this partnership between your teachers, your children's teachers, and yourselves. You all have to be on the same page. Otherwise, what's going to happen? The development of your child is not going to go forwards, it's going to go backwards.
You've hit on a really, really important point, Zed. It really is a partnership, and that's how you get the best for your child. I always talk about the partnership of three: the child, the parent, and the teacher or the school. And if there is effective, strong communication between you, that's how you will help to get the best for your child, because it's about understanding what your child needs at every step of their educational journey. And as a parent, you have a responsibility to communicate with the school. So if there's something going on at home that is changing things for the child, it's not about the school prying, but if you can alert the school, then they're aware of why they might be seeing changes in your child, and they can compensate for that. Schools have access to a lot of resources. Yes, they are there to educate, but they are in loco parentis, which means when you are not around as the parent, they in effect act as the parent. There's a lot that's done on the social side, as you know, around safeguarding. We look at the work that, well, all schools do in terms of supporting families, because they recognise that if everything at home is okay for the child, then the child is much more likely to reach their full potential at school. So we need to have that communication. And it also means that if the school is contacting you and making comments about how your child is getting on, you know, when there are parents' evenings, it's really important that you go, because that's an opportunity for you to find out how your child is doing, and also to find out how you can help to support your child. Because you need to recognise as parents that schools can't do everything. Yes, I know that your child spends many hours in school, but there's much more to learning and developing than a school can ever do. And they do their very best, as we know. Those of you who might not have thought about it will have seen all of the fantastic work that was done during the pandemic. And I think the appreciation of teachers and the work that they do, the dedication that they show, really shone through during that period, because, you know, for the first time, parents had the opportunity to homeschool. And we know that that was tough. But if you focus on the positives and, as Zed has said, work in partnership with the schools, then you'll get the very best for your child.
The
and
journey.
We recognise that all children are different.
Here we say it's the SML. Are you familiar with the SML?
No, what do you mean by
When you
SML?
go to buy clothing, they ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you small?
Medium or large?
Are you medium? Or are you large? Now that is the journey of life, right? We start right at the bottom, and then we progress on that train journey. Each station that we arrive at, there's a change of dynamic. So we are moving from small, we move to medium, and we move to large. Just like when we are born, we go through nursery, we go through primary, we go through secondary, then we go through university, or some young people will go straight into a training apprenticeship, or they'll move into a profession.
Yes.
Right? So how important is it that the school at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15 will identify and capacity build that individual to their positive attributes?
It's very important in school that every child has the broadest possible experience, because unless they're exposed to different topics, they're not going to appreciate what is possible. And you will hear stories from people who are adults and have really responsible jobs, and you ask them how they got the job, and they haven't necessarily gone from rung 1 to rung 2 to rung 3 on a ladder and gone straight up. They've had a range of different experiences and might not have known for a while what they wanted to do, but they finally found something that's really clicked with them, and that's what makes the difference, because that then becomes their passion. So whilst you're young, if you can have broad experiences, if you have an opportunity to do something, you think, oh, I don't think I like that. Don't worry, try it. You never know, you might find, actually, that's your niche. Listen to people talking. Go out and talk to people who are doing different jobs. Find out what it's like. If you can, try to get an opportunity to go into the workplace with them. And I think something else that's really important here is that you think about what success looks like for you. Zed has made another very important point, that not everybody has to go to university. And I think this is becoming an increasing issue, and I think it's something that government departments and all of us need to look at very, very carefully, because we know that a lot of graduates are underemployed. So they've obviously been educated to graduate level, but they aren't necessarily in graduate level jobs. So I think we need to rethink what we're doing and think about where we want to get to and different ways of getting there. So Zed, for example, has made reference to apprenticeships. Some apprenticeships are absolutely fantastic and are actually more competitive than a lot of university courses, because they are highly sought after. And that is because if a young person gets one of those apprenticeships, they are going to be employed by a prestigious company. They will be trained by the best. And these will be people who are working in that sector, whether it's creative, scientific, engineering, whatever it might be. And you will be working through a program. You will have to develop your competence in a different set of skills. Your knowledge will be tested, but you're doing all of it in the workplace. By the end of your apprenticeship, you will have a qualification, whatever you're aiming for, but you will also have had experience in the workplace. And that is worth its weight in gold, because it means that when you've completed your qualification, not only do you have the piece of paper saying that you're competent, but you actually have X number of years of experience. That puts you in a really good position. It makes you very marketable, and people will want to employ you. Depending on the company that you're working for, if you're lucky, they might employ you, but I'm sure that you would find work elsewhere. So please don't dismiss apprenticeships. Look into them. Always do your homework, because that's another very good route into employment.
We say to everybody listening in there right now, is that experience you can't buy. And
Absolutely.
Suzanne, she is brimming with experience in her journey of life, and that is where she has gone through the system and she has progressed and climbed that ladder. So in your journey of life, it's all about your commitment, your dedication. And here on the radio, we say the 3 Ds, which I want you to write them down. I see you've got a notepad there. The first D is dedication, or discipline. You can call it discipline or dedication. Second D is devotion. And the third D is the most important one. It is in the month of Ramadan, we detoxify. When you're fasting, you have a spiritual awakening, you have a physical battery charge, and you have a mental state of mind change. It's very important. Throughout our journey, we must maintain these values, and they go across humanity, don't they?
Yes.
Discipline is so important, devotion is so important, dedication is so important, and if we want success, we need to put them in our system.
Yes.
And sometimes, brothers and sisters, you have to be around that environment, you have to create that for yourself. You have to sometimes move from one environment to another to go find those disciplines.
Yes. So again, picking up on what Zed has said, the dedication and commitment is really important. You know that you can succeed in whatever you want to do, but you do need to be focused and you need to work hard and you need to demonstrate that you know what you're doing. Something that's very important for young people is that you need to ensure, and again, Zed has made a comment on this, you need to ensure that you're surrounded by the right people. In all of my years in education, I've seen far too many young people slipping below the standards that I know they expect from them for themselves, and also functioning at a lower level than what their parents and adults in their lives would expect of them. And quite often, when you examine those situations, it's because of who they've surrounded themselves by. And I'm talking about friendship groups. You need to make sure that you are surrounded by people who are going to lift you up, people who you can aspire to be like, rather than surrounding yourselves by people who are, for whatever reason, going to drag you down. And that is really important because, as I said earlier, you can learn so much from your peers. So other young people, there are all sorts of things you'll learn from them. You'll learn about their hobbies, you'll learn about what they're reading, if they've been to see a film, what they've done over the weekend. There might be things that you can do together. You can form study circles, and they are really effective because it then means that when you're outside of school, you have a group of friends with whom you can study together. Learning together is great fun. Somebody will understand something that you don't, and other people, and you will understand something that somebody else doesn't. And so between you, you can work things out. You can share the work out. You can solve problems together. You can identify together what you don't know. So when you go into school the next day, you can talk to your teacher and say, well, we didn't really understand this. Would you mind spending a bit of time with us so that we do understand? And you might even get to that wonderful position of asking for extra work. How great would that feel?
Well, we call that here at the radio, there's a word in like many languages, it's called homework.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Or we extracurriculum studies, yes. Or we just call it here sabak.
Yes.
Let me hear you say that.
Sabak.
That's it, easy.
Yes.
Right? It's a word in Arabic and it's a word in a lot of the other languages, like in Punjabi, in Hindi, in Urdu. Many languages use that word. And of course, the word Baba.
Baba?
You familiar what that means?
I'm not sure.
Baba means father in many languages.
I was thinking father, but I wasn't sure.
Many African languages.
Yes.
So
yes.
they'll call it Baba.
Yes.
In Chinese language, they call it Baba. In
Yes.
many of the South Asian languages,
Yes.
a father or a grandfather is called Baba. So there is a lot for us all to learn.
Yes.
Culture capital, we call it.
Yes, absolutely.
And we had a fantastic program with Jason and Saiful. Jason is the principal at Judge Maddow School.
Right.
Right? So you'll know about that school in your journey at Gateway. So there was a lot of discussion. The whole program was on culture capital now, which brings me on to discuss about what you are doing at present in your career path. You're doing a lot of freelance capacity and fulfilling a lot of good strategic planning policies that are happening in the city or county as well.
No, my focus is mainly in the city. So I'm on a few boards, organisations who are doing things that are of great interest to me. And throughout my life, I've always done some form of voluntary work. And in the odd periods when I haven't, I've never felt quite right. And the reason why I think that's important, and I'd include young people in this as well, is because it's about giving back to your community and helping in whatever way that you can. So even if it's an hour a week, I would urge you to do something for your community. In a very selfish way for young people, I would say it will look good on your CV. It will also say a lot about you as an individual, that you do care about other people, and you're demonstrating that very actively through whatever work you choose to do. But yes, I'm on several boards, and I do bits of paid work. As you've said, I've done policy development for some schools, helped with strategic planning, done bits and pieces around safeguarding. Yes, a whole range of different things. If something interests me, then I will do it.
So we are putting a lot of emphasis here throughout the month that every one of us should aspire to be a CDO.
CDO?
Yes. CDO is a community development officer.
Right.
Right. So when we do good in the community, we are all CDOs. We are community development officers. Right. All of us have the capacity to give back.
Yes.
In many, many ways in the community. Now, again, I remind everybody, like just some of the groups that are prevalent here in the city of Leicester, two girls, they're both professionals in their own capacity, saw the need for them to get young children involved with skateboarding. So they went and got some little bit of funding, put some of their own time and money in, and set up a skateboard park in Saffron Lane so that they can get young kids in. And some of these kids are in bad ways, and they are correcting them. Yes? And that is fantastic, isn't it?
Yes.
Then you have the Green Guardians. What do? See, we have many, many young people, or even older people, who are doing fantastic work in the community.
Oh, yes.
And we need to sing a song about them, who they are.
Absolutely.
And there are hundreds of them.
Yes.
Right? And BBC Radio Leicester have got the MAD initiative happening. Are you familiar with that?
No.
MAD is Make a Difference.
Right. Okay.
Right? MAD, MAD. Let's all be mad, make a difference. And they are saying, give us nominations of all the aspiring individuals or organizations who are making a difference. Right? So if we don't have these champions, the CDOs in our community will be poor for it.
Oh, absolutely. I think there are thousands of unsung heroes. They could be doing something that they see as insignificant, but it's having a big impact on somebody's life and is making somebody feel better, or you might be improving their life in some way. And that's good. That's really, really important. So it's about always being aware of other people and thinking about how you can help them. And if you can, then do, because other people will do the same for you in a whole range of different ways. And I think a lot of that is about being kind and just being thoughtful and stopping just for a microsecond and thinking, if that was me, what would I want? And it might just be a smile, or it might be a word of encouragement, or helping somebody with their shopping, all sorts of things, whatever you feel you can do. But it makes a difference, as you said.
Well,
So
there's a saying by Muhammad Ali, the world's greatest ever boxer, and he used to say, what you do for another is the rent you pay for your room in heaven. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, I understand what he's saying,
and
what he said.
This is a reflection in almost every religion that came down to mankind. That humanity comes before anything else.
Yes, absolutely.
So the whole theme here on Radio Ramadan is humanity, solidarity, unity. Yes?
Yes.
And we're talking about partnerships this week, community partnerships, where we say at the Radio Ramadan, educate, inspire, serve, and unite.
Yes.
So we've about covered all of that, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
In a short time.
Yes.
So how we can then go and spread this, it's a very good gospel, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So our shared values makes us stronger.
Absolutely.
Mentally.
Yes.
And also physically.
Yes. And also remembering that you are never on your own. You are part of a community, and there's always somebody there who can help. Just in the same way, as I've said, there is always somebody that you can help. And that's what, for me, is the glue in society. And we have to hold on to that very tightly. And as Zed has said, always remember those fundamental values. You know, how your parents brought you up and what you believe in, what you hold very dear. And it doesn't matter what's happening in your life. Never, ever, ever let your standards slip. Always, always do the right thing.
That is very, very good advice, or we say nasiya. Nasiya is the word that we use in the Arabic language. And we have a super diverse Leicester right now, right? How many diversities we have? Just take a guess in the city now, right now.
I have no idea. Tell me.
Be ready for this. Take a guess. Take a guess. Top of your head.
Like 60.
60 is about right. So between 50 and 70. 70 languages are spoken. So we have the A to Z, 26 letters. Yes? That is going horizontally across from left to right, A to Z, right? Now start doing the verticals. A. For which country? You've got Afghanistan people here.
Yeah,
you have Armenians here.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
even I came across some Argentinians
Yes.
who live here in Leicester,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you go right there. You got Burmese people for B. You got Bangladesh people here, right? You got all the way to Z. And people say, oh, I'm going to get stuck at Z. I can't think who's here from which
Zambia.
country. Zambia, you got Zanzibar. And then you come to Q and you get totally stuck, don't you?
Qatar.
Exactly. We even located them, the students at the Leicester University,
Yes.
right? So we have a multitude of diversities. So on this note, Suzanne, we are going to engage again for sure.
Great.
And we're going to meet and do some good networking together.
Fantastic.
And I will be inviting you to one of our get-togethers, and we can meet many other people like-minded,
Yes.
doing the kind of work what you're doing. And strategic planning is very important to do it together.
Yes. Okay.
So I'd like to thank you, and I'd like you also to wish you a very good, happy Eid.
Thank you very much indeed. And very, very happy to all of the listeners. And thank you for listening today.
Thank you, Suzanne. I
Look
shall
after
leave you now,
yourselves.
and we shall touch base. I'll pick up your number, and we'll keep in touch and work harder on these initiatives that we have discussed. So, brothers and sisters, that was Suzanne Overton Edwards. I won't forget the name Edwards because my English teacher at school was called Edwards, Mr. Edwards, right? So that's why I won't forget that name. It's in my diary straight away. So Suzanne, give us a lot of good nasihas about the journey in schools and the progressive journey forward. So to take you to we went straight over to community partnerships and partnerships between parents and teachers. And I'd like to pick up with all of you on these matters. And of course, do contact here at the radio if you want any signposting, and then we can help you with that. And we're doing a lot of networking with a lot of schools in Leicester. Schools are very important to be part of the journey that we can all engage with, right? So my next guest here today is going to be from the sports fraternity. I want to show you how important it is for us to network with all the sporting bodies in the city. You have basketball. Go and check. Is it a leading sport? How many people play it? And you have rugby, you have football, and football will always come up number one. And you have cricket, right? So we have two wonderful guests here to join us today, this morning, live on Radio Ramadan on 87.7 FM. And you are free to call us or WhatsApp us. Of course, a lot of you are having a good sleep and you're just chilling because you've done your sehri and you're sleeping, right? Or you're at work or you're driving. But do connect with us later on and catch up. Do a catch up. Or you can WhatsApp us on 077 48 855 055. And you can even call us on 0116 482 2086. But when you do call, leave all the challenging questions to me. I don't want you now to call me and, as they said, do my head in, right? You're on live radio, listening to Ramadan Radio on the Z program in the morning called Rise and Shine. So, guys, come closer to your mic. Let's get working. I see you came here in the studio without a pen and paper, notepad, nothing, right? So I got pens for you, one for you there and one for you. Now, we got to tell the studio to bring some paper in so they can make some notes, right? Because here, when you come in the studio with me, you're working. You're not on radio. You are actually working. We are working. We make notes. We write things down. And then we pick up on that. So I'm going to introduce you to the right, to my right. Well, to your left, to my right, is CEO of Leicestershire County Cricket Club. Yes, Mr. Sean Jarvis.
Good morning, Zed. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here, Sean. We have bantered in 2020. It was 10 o'clock on a Thursday in March.
Yeah,
right?
Just around COVID time, right?
That's right, just around the COVID time. Yes, you see what happens when you move away from the mic? Yeah?
It's better now, right?
Much better, yeah.
There you go.
And to my left here, we have another aspiring youngster who I've known for quite some time in Leicester, Mr. Jigger Naik. Jigger, good morning to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, of course, he's from one of the crucial areas in Leicester. He's grown up in that part of the city, haven't you? Leicester East. So all of you from Leicester East, put your hand up right now.
I wish we could see it. There'll be loads.
Yeah, Jigger, just run us through your journey and your association with Leicester County Cricket Club.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I grew up on the Melton Road area. I was born in General Hospital. As far back as I can remember, we've always played cricket in the backyards with my brothers, my sisters, our family. And my love of cricket just sort of grew from there. And I first played for Leicestershire County Cricket Club under 15s. Went through the system and then, played professionally for over 11 years. And now currently coaching and head of talent pathway at Leicester.
So that is a brief journey, but you have also played for another county as well, haven't you? Apart from Leicestershire.
I haven't.
Have you had any experience?
I played for Dorset.
Yeah.
So it's a national county. I
Yeah.
played for a little bit for Dorset, and I've also represented Colombo Cricket Club. So I was a professional there when I was representing Leicester.
So you've had a varied journey. Have you ever had any experience at another club like in Nottingham or anywhere else?
I haven't.
Never.
No.
He's a Leicester lad through and through.
Through and through.
Yeah, he is. That's why he's here with me today. And of course, we are going to make great efforts now to get Jigger to be our face in Leicester East to start with. Yes?
Oh, sure. I mean, Jigger is incredibly important to us because he's just recently become our head of our academy. So absolutely crucial on developing talent through our academy into the first team. So for me, I'm delighted Jigger is now in the role. And already we're beginning to see, we've just been having a chat prior to coming into the studio about the talent that's coming through. And we're really excited about, a few years to go, players have got to develop. And I don't know if you've seen, we recently announced that one of our academy players, Rayan Ahmed, had just signed a 4-year contract for us. So we think we've got a real bright future with the talent that's coming through.
Where is Rayan Ahmed from?
Well, he was at Nottinghamshire, but I'm delighted to say he came from Nottinghamshire to play for Leicester, and he's come through the ranks with Jigger and had a brilliant summer over in the West Indies in the England under-19s. And now, last year he featured in our first team, made a couple of appearances, did really well. He's got to develop, he's still got a long way to go, but as a talent that's coming through, we're really excited about him.
So how old would he be?
Now, Jigger's he's approaching 17.
17.
17, yes.
He joined our academy when he was just past 13. So we've obviously got him from Notts, but he was very young at the time, and his development and his journey has been fantastic to see from all of us. But he's going to be a very good cricketer. Hopefully he continues his good progression and his good work and his hard work. And yeah, I'm sure we'll hear of the name much more in the coming years.
So we are all three here together because we all value the importance of community partnerships across the board in our community, and sports being pivotal to that
massive
journey. It's a journey we all have to do together with every single member of the community. So awareness is what it's all about. And people are, I'm sorry to say, they're not aware as they should be. So in the last 10 years, we've had so many new people come into the city. Yeah. And like 10 years ago, the Afghani community was not so prevalent.
Yeah.
Right? Because now they are. And they got some wonderful cricketers.
Well, we've got two playing for us this summer. We've got Ramanullah Gurbaz from Afghanistan, who is, again, a very, very exciting prospect. And Naveen Ul Haq, who played for us last year, ended up being the leading wicket taker in the T20 tournament, who's now returning for our T20 campaign next year. So very excited about those two Afghani players who are coming through. And as you've seen, Afghanistan cricket is actually on the way up. It's really quite exciting. So hopefully, you know, the community in Leicester sort of engage with us and come and see those players.
So we have to go now to yesterday. We need to discuss yesterday in order for us to know what we're going to do today and what we got to do tomorrow. If whatever we do today, Jigger, is going to define us tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're talking cricket now. Yesterday, we have seen that cricket, let's go back 200 years. Let's start at W.G. Grace, yeah? From that time. And how cricket went over to all the colonial countries, right? And that is where today cricket is prevalent in colonial countries, right? Jigger, top of your head, give me all the country names.
Well, India,
yes.
Obviously to an extent where it's probably the biggest sport in the world and over there. So,
Sri Lanka,
West Indies,
South Africa,
yeah,
Australia.
Now, we have gone through Zimbabwe, Kenya, Uganda, right? They play not big-time cricket, Zimbabwe, Uganda. They're playing like, let's call it Division 4 cricket, right? So okay. in the light of what India are doing, Pakistan are doing, Bangladesh are doing, Afghanistan are doing. Now, from going back to that period of time, cricket has been stuck in a time warp, working with 100-year-old recipes and did not do the ATC, right? Are you familiar with the ATC?
ATC?
Yeah. Jigger, are you familiar with the ATC? We are seriously talking adapt to change.
Adapt to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these guys here in the system are the RTCs.
RTCs.
Right? Resistant to change.
Resistant to change, okay.
Yeah. So in your workplace environment, you're going to find these people across the board, right? And we have to deal with them. Now, when we come latter days, let's say last 2 years, COVID, we've had a big hit, haven't we?
Yeah.
Cricket, football, every sport, everyone in the community has gone backwards in terms of static. You yourself joined cricket when it was the start of COVID.
I joined 2 days before COVID hit. So
in March 2020.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
What a wonderful day.
It was tough. It was tough, Zed. Yeah.
Talk about throwing somebody in the deep end and coming from the football environment and throwing you into cricket.
That's right.
Right? So, you know what? You are a perfect person, is to learn what not to do.
An ATC, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're raw talent.
I've not been called raw talent for a long time.
Well,
but
you throw you in the deep end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in COVID period, and you look around you and you quickly learn what not to do in cricket.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And straight away, we had the Azim Rafiq case that kicked off. How pivotal was Azim Rafiq? We say that Azim Rafiq was an icon of change management, Jigger.
I 100% agree. Obviously, the things that have happened to him in the past is obviously there's no place for it in any sport or any day of life, really. And yeah, he's changed a lot of opinions, values, the way things and businesses deal with people around their workplace.
So my disappointment, I want to share with both of you, right, is that during that 2-year journey, driving up and down the country, there were no takers coming forward to support him. There were players in the system, right, who felt the EDI, but they failed to speak out, Sean. Why? Because they were worried about their own job security, that if they speak out on this volatile topic, which EDI equals the big R, right, and they were not coming forward. Members of the community were detached from the game of cricket. They won't come forward because of cultural issues and many, many issues like that. But certainly, in the end, the will of God prevailed. And he hit a very, very good presentation. And we picked him up here at the radio on the Sky Sports interview. You'll recall that, Jigger?
I do.
And you and I spoke about it on the phone, didn't we?
Absolutely.
And we discussed this issue, that why players are not coming forward. There was players in the system, present and past. So they would not come forward. I would ring them up. I'd talk to them. They talk well to me.
Yeah.
But they were not coming forward. But as soon as the DCMS kicked in, all of them came forward.
Yeah, which is good, right?
Very good. But the disappointment is that throughout, in your workplace environment, in your sporting fraternity, many, many things are happening and then they're put under the carpet and they're not addressed, right? So we have to take these on head on, Sean. We have to talk about them. We have to put them on the table and be live with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the wind of change is beginning, is happening. I can only really speak for Leicestershire and what we're doing at the cricket club. And, I can give you sort of 3 examples that spring to mind that I think are helping us change and build those bridges and develop and evolve even further. The first one is we're in the process of actually recruiting a dedicated, and we were the very first cricket club to do this, and I noticed Warwickshire have followed suit, which is great. We're recruiting a community and EDI director. So somebody that doesn't necessarily is about delivering of programs, it's about really forging those links with those different communities. With all the will in the world as CEO, I'd love to do all that work, but I've got lots of other parts of the business that I need to look after and drive. So I do need a dedicated individual to help us.
So when does he start with you?
He or she, well, we're in...
He or she?
Yes, we've undertaken our first round of interviews, and I think the second round are due in the next couple of weeks. So depending on the successful candidate, then I would hope probably within a month or 2 months, depending on their current situation, that we'd have that person in. So I'm hopeful by the summertime we can get somebody in that situ that can really then start to roll their sleeves up and get integrated in with our community. Massive role for us. The second point that I know Jigger's been really involved in is what we call CTCs, our county talent champions. And Jigger will be able to talk better on that than I will. But we're We've seen some kids come through that scheme into our pathway, which I'm really proud about. And we one of the pilot schemes for the ECB, so that was incredibly successful. I understand that is now being rolled out around the UK. Big thumbs up for that. Brilliant. We've seen some really exciting stuff. And then the third one is we've created a group within the club called our EDI Action Group. And that includes everybody from every part of the business, so including players, including staff, from all the different parts of the business that come together on a regular basis. And I think I've got a meeting tomorrow, I think it is, just to sort of chat. Well, what are we up to? What are we doing? How can we change? And one of the things that I'm working with our stadium manager on as part of that group is a prayer room. We've never had a permanent prayer room. So we're looking at that. So all these things that we want to do are now part of our ATC approach, if you like. And they're just three things that spring to my head. Jigger might be able to talk a bit more about the CTC stuff.
Yeah, the CTC was a fantastic pilot. I mean, it was very successful for us. We recruited 2 CTC champions, so it was a community talent champions whose sole role was to go out to the areas where we probably necessarily traditionally in the past wouldn't have hit. So that's your inner city clubs, your MCC hubs, your street cricket, sort of chance to shine cricket. They'd go out and just scout, so it's a scouting option, so it's another avenue to try and bring kids through to the Leicestershire system. Well,
all of these that you've mentioned, they've been around quite some time. They're not relatively new. Chance to Shine has been some time here. ECB spend loads of dosh, a lot of money that they get grants from Sport England, and recent one I recall was £2 million allocated to develop women's cricket. And I was involved in that journey to encourage that project, and I found it to be more a box-ticking exercise than actually it producing results, because when we would have attend the matches that we would do a little bit of sponsorship to, then we found that the cricketers who attended there, there were more photo shoot events rather than longevity or sustainability.
And I think that's why the CTC role is big, because it's not about them per se taking photos with anyone. It's them going out to communities, and it's not just obviously the ECB events that they go to. They also go to club events. So I don't know, park cricket. There used to be a lot of cricket played in Western Park, Spinney Hill Park. We still see a lot of cricket, and they've attended these events and got details of kids that are coming through and put into the system. And it's not just boys, it's also girls as well. So.
No, the big fundamental problem is, Jigger, you are from what we call the Rushmead Melton Road area, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have this area where the ground is. How many schools have you identified that we can tap into in your area?
So there's quite a few, obviously. I mean, the school I went to, Rushmead, I'm in regular contact with the cricket person in charge there, Jay Ocharya. Our community team do a lot of work with schools, and part of their role is to go into schools and into definitely the catchment area where Ayleston is, and go into and deliver cricket sessions.
And I'd also add there, Zed, that the new community and EDI director that we're bringing, I want them to get into the schools as well. So really get to know. Like last night, I had the pleasure of being here at your iftar, which was first iftar I've attended, fantastic. And there was a school here last night. I'm very keen for our community and EDI director to really get to know them.
Well, that was a good event for you.
I loved it. I have to say the food was magnificent.
Yeah,
and it was
building partnerships through food.
No better way. That and sport are probably the best two ways to do it.
Yeah, and having certainly different diversities of food as well.
It was tremendous, I thought.
Yeah, we had Turkish food.
It was delicious.
Good Indian vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the dal was lovely.
Yeah. And we had a lot of people from different communities on the table.
Yeah. It was fantastic, and thank you for inviting me to come along, and I was honoured to be there. And that's the sort of thing I really want us to do more of. And I can only be in so many places, but I think having this community director is going to be critical to us. And it's not going to be about tick boxing. It's about developing those relationships and helping people like the CTC champions and Jigger and ourselves and our ticket people to get people to come and support us.
And I think a message has come in here on the phone saying that we got to walk the talk.
Absolutely.
That's what they're saying. We got to walk the talk. In the past, frustration has been a key element, right?
Totally
the
agree.
inner cities throughout the country, Jigger, you've been traveling to all the counties, right? The predominant city areas are predominantly diversity, and they have no grounds. So you immediately lost 2/3 of Leicester City lives in Leicester East, but you can only count 2 grounds, which is the Caribbean ground on Ethel Road and the Highfield Ranges.
Yep.
Right? You don't have anything else. You do not have anything else. And those grounds were allocated way back, I would say in the late 70s, when the riots kicked off, and the recipients were the West Indian community.
Yep.
Jigger, are you familiar how many grounds they have in England?
Not the exact number, no.
Well, you
but
got 2 in Leicester.
There'll be more than 2, I'm sure.
You got 2 in Leicester. Do you know, Sean?
I don't know, but I totally agree with you, Zed, and I think that is a big problem for us, is the number of grounds that are available to our teams in Leicestershire. And if I could wave one magic wand, I'd have more grounds, but it's not in my gift to give. That's where, you know, I know Peter Soulsby was here last night, and I know you tried tuning his ear off. More grounds, please, more grounds. And I totally agree with you. And I think if we could, I'd have more grounds. I've got to look after my own, really, which needs a lot of work. But more grounds, please, because I want more people playing cricket, and more people playing cricket means more players for Leicestershire County Cricket Club.
Now, because, Jigger, you know that as a result of no grounds, no facilities, no training, no indoor nets, no outdoor nets, and it's a huge problem, isn't it?
It is a big problem. Obviously, we want to try and or the clubs need to be as accessible as possible. I mean, there's Rushmead, or Rushmead Park, that you've probably not mentioned in that. Electricity Sports is literally around the corner. Again, but these are associated clubs, and it's membership based. Leicester Banks is
now these you're talking about are the dinosaurs of the community, right, Sean? Right? None of these people are ATC, and that's another problem which you can help resolve, because you can't carry on having a ground which is of no value but the bar. You can't survive on a bar and a pizza anymore, right? These grounds that he's mentioned, I've been to all of them, right?
Yep.
And they're dismal. Now that is a reflection across the board. Nobody wants to let another in to come make a difference. They don't, Sean. If you went with me, you'll see, wow, Zed, oof, this is not on.
Yeah. I mean, we would encourage those clubs to be ATCs as opposed to RTCs.
Well, the ground he mentioned, Leicester Banks.
Yep.
You know, when you go there, how was it originally set up? The Leicester Banks ground. It's at the back of your ground, not very far. You can walk it to that ground from Grace Road. And the old school guys who set it up for the Banks in Leicester, they're all long gone. Then you have now the military squad who are running it, right? And they won't let anybody else in. And the head honcho there is I think he's about 73 years old. You can't get your foot in the door, even to take an initiative to them for developing the facility for the wider community, right?
Yep.
It's no longer about black, brown, or white. It's about everybody. Look at this community here. How many? We have 50 to 70 diversities here, right? Cricket for all, isn't it, Sean?
Absolutely. Cricket should be for all, and that's what we want. So, yeah, I mean, my message to those clubs is open your doors, you know, lead by example, and that's what we're trying to do, and hopefully those clubs then...
So, Jigger, the grounds you mentioned, a trip down that memory lane, same old, that cannot be cricket tomorrow. We are talking about yesterday, we're talking about today. Now, if we don't define the right structure today, you can forget about tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got to change.
Definitely. And this, we have to emphasize Jigar in great detail, and we have to infuse this ideology into every one of us. Because this is a journey we have to travel together. If we are going to put the D back in the diversity, we're not going to do it. We've got to show it in action, Jigar.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously I'm not aware of the runnings of the clubs and stuff like that. And so
Well, you need to come out with me for a day.
I
want to show you. I want to show you
Yeah.
what I saw, what not to do. I personally went to each one of these clubs.
Okay.
Do you think they even have the courtesy to reply to your phone calls or your emails, Sean?
That's a shame to hear.
Right? At least you responded, Sean.
Always.
Right?
Always.
You know,
You never leave me alone, Zed,
And
but I always
the
respond.
thing is, we need to build on these because the pressure is on, guys. All of us have to see every single county is being lambasted for their lack of activity in the game of cricket, Sean.
You're not wrong, Zed. And I think this is where Leicestershire County Cricket Club has a role to play, is leading by example. And hopefully the three, and we've still got lots to do, make no bones about it, but hopefully the three examples I've given you there are things that other clubs in our community can look at Leicestershire and go, well, if Leicestershire are doing it, then maybe we should be doing it. And I think, I would say on the back of last night, I phoned our catering manager and said, do you know what, I'd love to have an iftar, not this year, because I know there's 4 or 5 days remaining, next year. And I'd love to do an iftar at Grace Road at the Upton Steel County Ground next year. For me, that would be fantastic. And I think it's things like that. There's no silver bullet to the answer. And I've said this many a time, that, and it's not a tick boxing exercise, it should be a constant machine gun.
Well, the next one coming
bullets.
up now is we have in Eid, you have Eid after Ramadan.
Yep.
Then they have we call it small Eid, big Eid. Okay. There's another one that will come after another 2 months. And then after that, thereafter is a Diwali.
But yes,
right?
absolutely.
And it's a great opportunity to celebrate by bringing everybody together, right?
Yep.
But Sean, I'm going to take you back down to 2019 when I first met Jigar.
Yep.
And before that, we had some mutual friends that were sponsoring Jigar at the Leicestershire County Club from the business fraternity.
Yep.
And 2019, he shot a bullet in my heart. We came to the county ground for some tea and samosa and biscuits.
Yep.
And there were 40 people in the room from across different diversities. Some of them didn't know what they're doing there.
Yep.
Right? Some of them came there because they had a little bit connection with cricket.
Yep.
And we sat on the table, and Jigar was the one who opened my eyes out to the reality of cricket, the big R, the racism in the dressing room and across the board and everything.
Yep.
And that was the day, it was an awakening for everybody in the community, right? He fired bullets that day.
Great.
And woke us all up. And so that we need to do that. We need to come out. We need to share anything that happens negative. If we don't share, we're going to put it under the carpet. And the problem is, Sean, everybody is afraid to speak a word. The fear is a tool of rule.
Yeah.
The fear for their reputation, the fear for their jobs, and it should not be like that.
No, nobody should be scared to speak up and speak up in the right way. There's got to be the right channels to sort of speak up and say their thing. And I think the more we do,
Sean,
the better
people
it will become.
go through those channels and nothing ever happened, because when you go through those channels, nothing happens. And then when you speak out, you're outspoken, you get shot down.
Yeah.
That's what happens throughout the country. And we need to come forward and share these stories across the cricket world and then put them on the table for everybody to read, that this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. The only way we're going to fix a problem is if we look at what we did wrong yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also create plans for tomorrow. work on those plans now to create a better tomorrow.
That's what it's all about. That's why we say yesterday, today, tomorrow.
Totally agree with you.
These discussions are absolutely necessary, guys, you know. If we don't have them, Jigger, nothing's going to happen.
And I 100% agree. I mean, it's about being inclusive, but also my experience, the stories I mentioned that day in front of, I don't know, was it 60, 50 people?
Yeah.
It was about barriers and my challenges as a young cricketer. And in my position now, as head of Talent Pathway, I'm there because I've experienced it, and I want to make sure that these boys, girls coming through the system doesn't go through the same thing. So.
And, you know, sadly, myself and Jigger had some convos on this matter, right? And I had these convos with other cricketers as well up and down the country. And it was sad, Sean.
Very sad.
They would not come forward. And then I always say to everybody that Azim Rafiq was the icon of change management. He took the bullet. He took the bullet and he brought on the table, he did a big awakening to Sport England, to Sky Sports, to the ECB, and to the cricket fraternity. Not only in England, but he's taken that mental attitude right away to Australia. Right, they're coming on board. They've seen the same problems over there. Now, if we don't address this, Leicester East is 2/3 of the Leicester City population of approximately 400,000 to 500,000 people, and 2/3 of them live in Leicester East. So we do have a mountain to climb, Jigger, to go and reach out to these people. First of all, to create facilities for them. If they don't have grounds, they need their own nets, they need their own indoor-outdoor nets, they need a facility for 2022 going on to 2050.
Yes, please.
They can't have just a ground and a porter cabin. Have any one of you been to the Ethel Road Caribbean Cricket Ground? Have you been there, Jigger?
I have.
When was the
played
last
there,
time?
Yeah, I've played there in the past. Yeah.
No, what's your memory of it?
Cold, wet, and windy.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, so to be fair,
Yeah.
I've not
Have you been to that ground?
Not recently.
Okay. Now, I think it's a good idea we take a drive down
No problem.
to see all these grounds, and you can then share. We can share with each other
Yeah.
and see, well, the grounds that are there,
Yeah.
they are not doing the ATC.
Yeah.
So it's a sad shame because there's only literally 2 grounds in the cities. Those 2 grounds I mentioned.
Yeah.
And if they don't open their doors out to the community to create these grounds to be a community hub, parents, they won't glue up to the game of cricket. The Asian community, the South Asian community, predominantly, Jigger, what do they believe in? Education, yes?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, they educate, they want inspiration, and if we can create the hubs, the community hubs, attach a bit of education to it, that can be used 365 days a year, they'll come on board. You are an asset then, aren't you?
Fantastic.
A gate locked up 365 days a year, a rusty lock, is not an asset, is it, Sean?
No, you're absolutely right. And as I said, if I could wave that magic wand, that those clubs could have those facilities, I would. It's just not in my remit to do that. I mean, I can support and put pressure on people to try and improve their facilities and open up. And I think, like I said earlier, it's about, we've got to lead by example at Leicestershire, and that's what we're doing, I think. So,
Sean, today, live on radio, Ramadan 87.7 FM, you need to declare 120% support to Jigger. And Jigger, you got to get the job done. It rests on your shoulder for you to be the icon of change management in the city of Leicester.
No pressure there, Jigger. Let me tell you, Jigger has our full backing. I was delighted that Jigger got appointed in the role. It went through a rigorous interview, so it wasn't a given. We are really, really pleased, and you know, we've just been chatting about what's coming through our academy. we're excited. There's a few years to go and lots of work to be done, but with the things like the CTCs, I'm so, and people like Rayan Ahmed, who's going to lead the way, came from a state school. He's so excited about playing for Leicestershire when he gets that chance.
Now, you said he's 17 years old.
17-year-old,
Now,
yeah. Very
imagine,
talented boy.
Jigger, if we did a round with you to 4 schools and he captured the hearts of 13-year-olds, wouldn't that be great?
Oh, that's why sport's so brilliant, because you have role models within that. So
Of course. Now, you and I went, Sean, we would not be able to reach that 12-year-old.
No, absolutely.
Right? Because these kids, they don't want to talk to their granddad's friend.
Yep.
Right? They want to talk to somebody who is like Jigger, and below Jigger is Rehan.
Rehan, yeah.
Right? And we did a little tour, and it's wonderful. Can you identify right now all the schools that we're going to tour? We're working now, Jigger, we're not playing.
no, absolutely. Like I said, I'm happy to support anything that you can put forward, but also I'm happy to support our community team who also go out to schools as well. So.
Yep.
So that is one initiative. It's live on Radio Ramadan that we are going to put into action, yeah?
Well, I hope Rayhan's listening, because
But your task is go tell him, you are the boss.
I like to think so.
You are the CEO.
Yeah.
You are the one who's going to make those things happen,
I think Rayhan's story would be a great story to tell, and I think if we can get that sorted, then I'd love to see that happen.
So we need to set some timescales. We need to say that within 2 years, we need to find a Virat Kohli in Leicester. Jigger.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Wouldn't turn that down, definitely. But no, look, I think Sean's magnificent. Everything he said is spot on in terms of Leicestershire doing the things that we can do, and obviously there's still a lot more to be done. But if we can see ourselves, when we talk about role models, if we can see ourselves as role models for other clubs to follow suit, I think that'll only leave Leicester cricket in a better place. So.
We've got some other kids in our team, people like Ben Mike, Harry Swindles. They're the young ones. I mean, we've got some older ones like Hassan Azad, who I think would be happy to get involved as well. And I think
where is Hassan? I think he's from Nottingham.
Yeah,
he came from Nottingham, but he's passionate about Leicestershire. He's our opening batsman. Had a great couple of seasons. Started pretty well this year. Hassan, it's interesting. Hassan has been doing a video diary on his Ramadan period, actually, for the Professional Cricket Association, which is brilliant. Love it, absolutely love it. So I think, for me, I don't want to put all the pressure on Rayhan, because bear in mind, he's a young kid still at school, so I don't want to put too much pressure on him. But I also think our other players like Ben, Harry, Eddie Barnes, people like that.
So we have another group here that we engage with here on the radio called the Talent Foundation.
Talent Foundation.
Yeah. What they do is aspiring youngsters who are following a sporting career or they are following a profession, they attach with another successful person who mentors them, guides them, and is a support to them on the WhatsApp or on the email, so that they have somebody who's like that they can go to, a go-to person.
Yeah, sure.
And these are things that help, that there are people, professionals out there that said, look, I'm happy to do that because they are successful, they've been there, done it, won the T-shirt. So these are good networking opportunities there.
That's the first time I heard of the Talent Foundation. It sounds really interesting. And I'm pretty sure if I circulated that to our cricket, we might get 1 or 2 players that enjoy doing that. I know Abhi Sikandi, great guy, he might be up for that. I don't know,
Yeah, and again, to build that diversity, to tick our diversity box, we need them to be across the board from all diversities, that these facilities are not only for the Indian community or the Pakistani community or the Afghanistan community, the Bangladesh community. Do you know how many Bangladesh people are in Leicester?
I don't, but I know it's...
Do you know, Jigger? Take a guess, come on.
I won't know, but I know it's increased over the last...
20, 30,000?
No. It's about 12,000.
12,000.
242.
Brilliant.
You know the exact figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Now, guys, do you know which area they live in Leicester? Right?
Ooh, there's a good question. I wouldn't know that one.
Have you read the book called Do You Know Your City?
No, I haven't.
You need to get hold of that book, right? And unless we know all the dynamics of our city, we ain't going to be able to fix this issue. That all the communities that are all living in bubbles, right?
But what's going to be interesting is the census has just been completed, hasn't it? So that will tell us a lot about Leicester, I think, when that comes out.
That's right. And you tell us about our population and all the different people that are living in our city from different diversities. You see, yesterday we hit Sir Peter Soulsby, and we tried it on with him, but he was on board. He said the A to Z of diversities in Leicester. When I said A, he hit me with 4 countries. And he didn't even wait to go to B. He went straight to Z. Right?
Brilliant.
And he knows his stuff.
Yeah, good.
He's been around a long time. He knows every corner of the city. He knows where they all are, right? And knowing is our education. If we don't know, we have no education.
Learning.
Awareness. So every one of us need to be on that train.
Yep. I totally agree. And Zed, one of our phrases is the Academy of Cricket. And that's not just about producing players to play for first team, the first team at Leicestershire. It's about us all learning all the time and how we get better, how we develop as individuals, how we become a better club.
Great. Now, we can't emphasize enough, Jigger, you have to be at the forefront, the ambassador. You've been there, you've done it. And he can make a difference, Sean.
Without question. And he's making a difference.
Yeah. So I think we're not going to do everything here today on one radio program, but today we are here to create awareness. We are here to get Sean and Jigger acquainted with all of you listening in. And it's a journey. There is going to be many, many more engagements with each other.
Absolutely.
Either at the ground, at Leicestershire. So one of you right now who is listening, if you send me a WhatsApp on my phone, on our radio phone, we are going to give you 2 tickets to attend a Leicestershire versus Sussex match.
Correct.
At the county ground. Yes? And if you send me a WhatsApp, I'm going to give you those 2 tickets.
Fantastic.
So we have tickets here, which we are allocating to different members of the community.
And just to say, Zed, on that, they can attend any day, whether that's the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday or the Sunday of the 4-day game versus Sussex.
That's right. Now, Sean, no doubt we're going to meet up again.
Absolutely.
And do a lot of engagements, right? And Jigger, we have discussed things. We've talked about the big R, we've talked about the big D, right? We've talked about your personal experience, right? Which we have to learn from, don't we?
Yeah, and like I said before, I think my role now will ensure that a lot of the barriers are removed for a lot of young boys and girls coming through the system.
Yeah, and everyone, all of you in the community, you are all part of the system. You are the policemen of the system. When you see wrong, speak up, bring it to the table, and we can all collectively deal with it. Because we got to all be on the same wavelength.
Absolutely.
Right? We in Leicester, Jigger, are we an ethnic minority?
I think we're all equal, aren't we? There's no minorities.
No. We in the city of Leicester, we are the ethnic majority.
Well, yeah.
We used to be called the ethnic minority, right? We are now the ethnic majority, as the new census that will come will tell you that. But we live in these pockets, in bubbles, across the city, Jigger. So your homework today, Jigger, and yours, Sean, is to find out who's living where. Which community?
Know your city first. I think I'm going to borrow that off you. So.
Which community lives in St. Matthews, Jigger?
Somalians?
Yeah,
am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm learning, you see.
Yeah, and they don't play cricket. And when we had our event in the city centre, a couple of guys came, they said, you know what, we would like to get into this game. The Bangladesh community have no attachment to the game because they have no facilities, they don't have their own community team. And I said to them, you don't have to have your own community team. you got to join this team,
Correct.
or that team, or
Correct.
that team. There's 20 teams here, right? So you got to join them and get your kids in there. If we say that I am Bengali, I need to make up a Bengali team, then we are going against what
We're trying to do, right?
the train is going the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's not going forward, it's going backwards.
Well, it's when you mention RTC and ATC, isn't it? It's you have to be applicable to change, so you need that to happen.
So we, all of us, all of you listening in, we got a choice. We either go integration or we go segregation, right? That's the reality that we live in this community. If we are to succeed together with all our sporting fraternities, the football, the rugby, the basketball. Are you familiar with basketball?
Not very much. It's not my sport, I must admit.
Yeah. Well, if you see the stats, there are more people playing basketball than there are cricket. That was brought to my attention. I got to do some research on that because I still cannot believe that stat, Sean.
Yeah, surprises me.
Yeah.
I need to look into that.
I'll tell you what.
But great,
Sean.
people play.
Do me a favor. You look into it and let me have the answer.
I'll do you that. I will look.
I got to finish here and get to my day job.
Yes, you and me both. But yes,
Right. So if you can do that for me, I'd appreciate it. Right. So my dear, respected brothers that you're here today, we are grateful for that. Right. And I'd like you to say some concluding remarks from Jigar first.
Yeah, look, Leicester's obviously doing the right things, and we've still got a long way to go. From my perspective, I'll do everything I can to remove barriers for young boys and girls coming through our system, and hopefully then go on to play for Leicestershire County Cricket Club. I'll also, as mentioned earlier, work with community teams and yourself to try and remove those barriers and go to clubs and be forthcoming that way as well.
So from you, Sean?
yeah. To add what Jigar said there, Leicestershire County Cricket Club is changing, and is changing for the better. Hopefully today, in the session that we have demonstrated and talked about some of the things that are going on. There is still lots to do, but we're there. We're there to support. We're there to try and help. We're there to try and accelerate that change. And, you know, we've got to win cricket matches. That's the first thing. I like doing that. But we want, as I said to you last night, Jeb, Leicestershire County Cricket Club is Jigar, I, Claude, Paul Nixon, Sanazad, all those players, Rayan. We're passing through. Leicestershire County Cricket Club is the cricket club of the people, and we want the people to support that club and get involved with us.
That's right. So we have lots to do together, and today is just an opportunity for us, all of us, to get engaged with each other, all of us to get to know each other. So I will wish all of you listening in right now a happy Eid to come. And Ramadan Kareem, it's the last 10 days. It's a time for absolute reflection upon your prayers and going forward afterwards and maintaining that discipline, that devotion throughout the year, dedication and so on. So brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Sean, for joining us.
Thank
you, Jigar, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I shall look forward to picking up with both of you hereafter.
Look forward to it, Zed.
So thank you, guys. So here we go. I got to leave you now, or you're going to leave me, and my next guest is going to join.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So we look forward to seeing you again, guys. So
Thank you.
thank you very much. So today, that was two wonderful guests we had today, Jigar Naik and Sean Jarvis from the Leicestershire County Cricket Club and on Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM. So we'll catch up with these guys very soon. And thank you again, guys. And we will look forward to chatting with them. Yes, you can keep that pen, and it's a remembrance. So, guys, here, whatever we discuss here, the programs that we discuss here, we have to all the time record them and keep them. And, you know, it's a good idea because you can always reflect back to them that we have some reference all the time. And you can also catch up on this program on the YouTube, or you can catch it up on Facebook and on your social media. And now we have our next two guests that have come in today. And then I will be calling it a day and get back to my day job. Assalamu alaikum, sisters. So here we are live on radio and we are working. So sisters, if you can put this headset on and then we shall do that. So come forward to the mic, please, like I am. Can you see me? Relax, come forward, pull your chairs forward. And this is a live working session, right? Sisters, you haven't brought your pen and paper to make notes. So now, sisters, we're going to discuss your project, aren't we? Now, what is your project? First of all, I would like you to introduce yourselves to our listeners. Now, when I do the introduction, I do sometimes get the names, the pronunciations wrong, which is not very respectful, is it? So I'll let you go first to my right.
Okay, my name is Suad Lakori. I'm from Morocco, and I moved here in 2009. And our project is Charity of the Dunya. We set up a charity since 2011. And we are looking after about more than 84 families in Morocco. And we're just raising money here by doing events to send them some support and like we call it kafala money each month.
And you are from, sister?
I'm from Leicester, but I've been helping with Orphans of the Dunya since 2018. My name is Kadishta Noure.
Okay, first of all, I would like you, sister, either one of you, to tell us the importance of supporting an orphan. What did the Prophet ﷺ say about that?
Rasul said, who is helping the orphans, he will be like me in the Jannah, and he showed his two fingers. So all of us, we want to be with our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and this is small thing we can do to help our orphans, and especially if you help some people you don't know in the world. And we are not helping just Morocco. We are doing lots of help during all. Okay, that's why we call it Orphans of the Dunya. Dunya, that's mean the world. So we're helping Gaza if they have problem. We do rebuilding Gaza in 2021, last year in May. We raised about £10,000 and we send it to them. We helped Rohingya when they have the problems as well. And we did a lot of events to help Syria. We did big events in Kuala, and we help as well our charity. We help us as well as this One Nation. That's it.
I think our main focus, obviously, is helping the orphaned families in Meknes, in Morocco. But yes, of course.
Whereabouts is that located in Morocco?
Meknes, Sister Suad, I think if you can explain.
Yeah, so Meknes is about 1 hour and a half from the capital, Rabat. So I born in Rabat, but all my life it was in Meknes. I have all my study in Meknes. So all the orphans, what we help, I started helping them when I was working in Morocco, when I was studying there since 2003. So these people now, when I start with them, they were small. Now they're all big. So basically, Meknes is just 1 hour and a half from the capital.
That is what is very good news for me is that every day we become aware of new persons who are doing excellent work in the community. So you sisters, not many people know about Orphans of Dunya in this city. We are happy that you've come here today to spend a little time with us to bring awareness. And we do as much as we can, and every day we learn. So all of you brothers and sisters who are listening in right now, be part in these last 10 days to think about those orphans throughout the world who have nobody, and they rely on support from their fellow human beings. So it's a responsibility of all of us to take care of orphans. They have no mother, they have no father, they have no extended family. They end up in an orphanage, and the care of them requires funding. And this is the reason the sisters are here today, to appeal to all of you listening this morning that if you wish to make a donation for the good work that they are doing, then please connect with us at the radio, or you can pass by on Evington Road, come up to the studio and put your money in an envelope and write on there, Orphans of Dunya. Then any donation we get, we shall forward it to you.
Yes, we obviously also have a website, which is www.orphansofthedunya.org. We have a donation page on that. You could donate via that. On there's also our bank details. You can pay by backs on that. To support an orphan for a month, it's £25 per month, which is sort of 80, just over 80 pence a day. So, we need, like I said, like Sister Swat said, there is about 85 orphan families that we're trying to support. In the last 2 years, in fact, it's gone from about 45 to 85. So we desperately need people to support them so these orphans can have a better life, and we need to assist them with that.
That's a journey for all of us to embark upon. Sometimes we directly are not able to do anything due to our own situation. We are fortunate, we are living in comfort, we are working, we are busy, but it's incumbent upon us to support those who are in this path of doing good. So often I ask myself, what makes these wonderful people in our community to get up and follow their nafs and say, I want to make a difference? Sister.
Yeah, so I will explain to you about my own experience with the charity. So basically, if you start working at any charity and you feel how much you can raise for the people who you don't even know, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know us and He know all our job. All the job what we're doing for our family, for our life, is for us. And you will get a reward for it, obviously. But if you help another people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep all your work in Jannah, and you will find it there keeping for you what we, really in this day, all of us will need it. And then in that day, we will say, I wish I do a lot. So this is, for me, if somebody, in 3 years ago, one man, he was the imam, I don't want to say the name, he came to my house, and he just put 1,000 under my door. And I took the money upstairs, and they closed the door quick, and I was counting it. And they take picture of the money and send it to Sister Khadija, and they was crying with the happiness. I said, look, I'm sitting here, and look, this man, he know us, he have my address and the website, and he trusts us to give me 1,000 from his zakat or whatever. And this money, he make me so happy to send it to somebody who can trust us. This job, it just help you, and you feel so happy to get the money. You're not taking it, but 100% will get reward for it. So, and the charity job is the amazing job. All the people, they hear me now, they already do charity job.
Okay, I've had a message here to ask a question. Are you a registered charity?
We are a registered charity, yes.
Okay, so today I would like you to leave full details here, so that we can share that information. Many people ask that question because they are paying tax, and then you can claim the gift aid.
Absolutely, yes. It's
That's
better
very
if you
important,
can.
right? So, guys, we always say guys, but we don't mean real guys, right? We are so grateful to have you here today and to host you, to learn about your good work, your charity work that you're doing. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we shall all see the gates of Jannah. And we always say here on the radio, the difference we make to another is the rent we pay for our room in Jannah. And if we can do this journey together, great. We are here building community partnerships this week. The whole week is about community partnerships. And this is also a partnership, isn't it? Yeah. For our community to join with the people who are doing great work in the community, and they are looking after orphans in anywhere, any part of the world. An orphan is the same whether he's in Leicester, in London, or in Morocco, or in Syria, or anywhere. Right? The number of orphans is not going to decrease, it's going to increase. As the population grows, you're going to have more orphans. Aren't you?
That's true.
Yeah.
So, sisters, now I have to go back to my day job. Right?
Thank you for your time.
Well,
And
thank you for taking the time to.
Jazakallah khair. Our producer is listening in. She's going to now put on her next program. Jazakallah khair.